Hello everyone, this is Omkar saying welcome back to Lockdown series. Today we are joined by Nigel Harrison. He is the Pro Vice Chancellor and Dean of Faculty HEMS. Hi Nigel, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much for coming, for your time. Uh, do you have any tips or advices for students on their improving mental health and well-being?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, and it's one that is very dear to my heart because you may be aware that I'm an adult nurse and a mental health nurse and a cognitive therapist by my clinical background. And so mental health and well-being of students is something that is particularly important to me because of that, having that background. I think the important thing for me is how students utilise all the help and support that is available to them and the resources that are there at different levels. So I think sometimes it's easy to assume that students know where to go for that support. And I think we need to continually signpost students and make sure that they access the support that's available and not to be afraid to ask for help. We want them to utilise the help and support. So, at a course level, it's about making sure that they use the course leaders and the module leaders and the personal development tutors. It's making sure that students access all the information that's available on the Canvas sites, all the frequently asked questions and to read them. I think it's making sure that they use all the support that's available in the wider university. There's some really useful guides. I was reading recently from Student Services, the Staying Safe and Well in Isolation guide that's been available, that gives some really useful hints and tips. And it's about making sure that students know about it and they're able to access it and read it and then do it. There's been a lot of support. I think the peer mentoring support is amazing. The FICA sessions that students have actually offered. I think there's something really valuable about students supporting each other and sharing their knowledge and hints and tips. And I would really encourage students to access that. I think for me in HEMS, it's also then about all the support that's available in the clinical area. We have practice-based supervisors and assessors, practice education facilitators. They're available to students to actually talk through any issues, any difficulties and problem solve with them. So I suppose in summary, for me, it's about encouraging students to use all the support that's available at a course level in the wider university and in practice settings.
Yeah, thank you. I think, yes, exactly. We as a university have many resources available for the students for coping up with their mental health. So, do you think medically some advices for the students that you would like to give who are feeling lonely or stressful situation or burdened with many things going on, and also the huge amount of confusions on COVID or the assignments or many parallel things and the festival season coming up? So do you have any advice for that one?
I think it's to try and normalise this for everybody. I think we're in a very unprecedented time at the moment with all the challenges that COVID-19 has presented to students and to staff. And so it's just to acknowledge that it's normal to feel isolated sometimes and to actually feel challenged. And it's not a weakness, it is something that we're all finding a way through. So I think the first thing is to ensure that people know that it's something that shouldn't be afraid of. It's about something that we all need to work through together, and it's about actually utilising all the support that's available to them. So whether that be housemates, whether that be family, friends, in their societies that they're part of, it's about trying to actually talk it through. There's something important about sharing the problem, sharing the issue, being transparent and open about it, as difficult as that can be, but because you'll invariably find somebody who has had similar difficulties and challenges, but if you don't talk about it, you won't know that. So I think there's something about we wanting people to be as open and honest as possible and to utilise all the people around them. I think if people do have ongoing issues, it's about then seeking the support, the professional support that that is available. And I know we have an amazing counselling service at the university. There's a lot of welfare support. As I say, a lot of online resources. If people have difficulty talking about it, sometimes they find it easier to actually access the online and resources, and they're really good quality. And it's about working through them. I think the challenge that we've got now is that when people don't deal with things early, it can actually gather momentum, and then it's when it starts to become more serious. And I think so for me, it's about when you've got early signs yourself, when you're feeling particularly challenged, feeling stressed, it's about listening to that, and then it's about trying to act upon it as early as possible. And that is about trying to use what works for you. So if you find that in the past you've done things like you've exercised, or you've walked the dog, or you've had a coffee with a friend, it's about what has worked in the past, and it's about trying to use that experience of what's worked again, and then expanding those coping strategies into new things as well.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's really technical way of a good advice. I feel what we have just passed on about in using the resources, not only the university, but the resources what you have as a person. I think that's really just the differentiation what I just learned now. So you have been managing biggest faculty, hence in the university, and I'm pretty much sure you sit in the big meetings where you decide a lot many things, and very important thing goes on. How you plan your day, how you think, how you manage your own mental health at this moment, especially in lockdown? Yeah.
It's a really good question, because I think we're all in danger of sitting in front of a computer for many hours, and to go from one meeting to another. And one thing that we did have in the summer, the faculty executive team had a discussion around the health and well-being of each other, of the staff. And we decided to have a health and well-being group within the faculty, and we deliberately decided not to have a member of the faculty executive team chairing that group, to lead that group. We wanted it to come from within. So we asked a couple of the deputy heads of school, so Kay Harron-Ricks from Education and Social Care, and also Rachel Cubberley, deputy head from Allied Health, to chair that group, and for them to actually work across the faculty to talk to the staff, and to survey the staff and have some focus group, and then to come back with some recommendations from that group. What were the key issues that they wanted resolving, and what did they want FET to actually do? And interestingly, they came back with recommendations on how do we manage emails better, and the email traffic, and how do we manage meetings better. So when you're actually talking to me, they are two of the things that I spend a lot of my time dealing with. And we came up with some guidance for staff, and that guidance is applicable to me as it is to everybody else. So how do we manage our diaries? How do we manage our emails? How do we manage our meetings? And so there were some really good hints and tips there that came from that guidance that we've now shared with all the staff and shared in the wider university. And it's about me role modelling that and also following it. So, for example, we try and not have any meetings on a Friday. So that gives me time to catch up with, rather than a scheduled long meeting, but to catch up with my emails and to actually write the reports and do things and have thinking time. So that has been really helpful to me. And I think, trying to finish meetings 10 minutes early, trying to make sure that you do have a lunch break. trying to make sure that you do have the opportunity to manage your diary in such a way that you don't go from one meeting to another, and you do have breaks in between. I personally walk the dog first thing in the morning and last thing at night, and I always have that, and it's a really, really important time for me to get out of the house, away from the computer, and I find that does help, because it means that you're out and about and getting the fresh air.
That was exactly my next question about what you personally prefer doing it apart from the university job. So do you have any hobby that you think your mental health can cope up with that? Do you think?
I think for me it is about finding something that works for you. Now, with being in healthcare, I do have a thing about healthy diets and exercise, and it's something that throughout my career I've always done. So I do like to stay healthy and to make sure that I have. I mean, it's easy to talk about it, but it's about doing it. 3 regular meals a day, and making sure that you think about your fruit, your vegetables, your salads, your fish, your seafood, having a healthy diet. And it's something that I do follow, and I've always followed, and I find that does help. And having time to do that, to take a break and have something to eat, and not just be eating while you're in a meeting, or it's about making sure that you have that time in your diary. I think exercise, I've always gone to the gym, I've always done cardiovascular exercise, and so walking the dog is just one aspect of that. So for me, it's about exercise, and diet is particularly important.
Yeah, thank you for this one. I think I've been listening to these conversations very interestingly, how technically you differentiated the resources, and then went on discussing about your work, and at the last, how your hobbies you prefer and what personally you think about. So I think that's interesting.
The other thing just that I have not mentioned is about how you utilize the people around you. I am really fortunate that I have a really good and very strong, very experienced faculty executive team, so deputy deans and heads of school. And it's about how we play to each other's strengths. So I bring a certain amount of experience and things that I can bring to the role, but it's about how I utilize the expertise within my team. So there are times when I might ask somebody else to do something because it plays to their strengths and their experience and qualifications. So there's something about how I and all of us utilize the people around us and the things that we need to do and the things that need to be achieved and accomplished. And I think that principle works everywhere at all levels.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much for this advice. And yes, thank you so much for joining us today. It was really helpful information what you sent on the awareness on mental health and well-being. Thank you so much for everyone joining us today. We'll be back again with another episode of Lockdown series. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.